Jim Davis is one of the few Hollywood figures whose name is instantly associated with old-school westerns. Davis portrayed the iconic strong patriarch Jock Ewing on the popular TV series Dallas, where he became famous for his commanding presence. Despite his strong exterior, the man was a complicated and reclusive individual who had endured many secret hardships and tragedies in his life. While audiences witnessed his dominance on television, few were aware of the hidden struggles he endured in real life, which ultimately led to his tragic and premature demise. Jim Davis's hidden life, the tragedy that befell him in his last days, and the story that has never been told is this. Jim Davis's grounded, no-nonsense mentality was shaped by his impoverished roots. He was born Marlon Davis on August 26, 1909, in Edgerton, Missouri. Davis honed his work ethic as a child on a Missouri farm, a trait that served him well in his acting career. His roles, particularly those involving strong Western characters, were defined by the genuine grit he inherited from his childhood in the American Midwest. Davis went to Liberty, Missouri's William Jewell College to study law until he discovered acting was more his speed. His strong communication skills and brilliant mind were both fostered by his formal education. However, he was enticed by the entertainment industry to go in a different way. After finishing college, Davis headed west with the hopes of becoming a Hollywood star. He had a tough time breaking into the acting industry when he was younger. Even though he had to work odd jobs to get by during the Great Depression, Davis's dogged persistence allowed him to survive. By the early 1940s, he had worked his way up to bit parts in films. He was frequently cast in roles that showcased his strong charisma and rugged good looks, such as cowboys or military men. Jim Davis was a mainstay in the film and television industries for more than 4 decades. His imposing presence and rough exterior were perfect for the Western genre, where he became famous, but he had a difficult road to stardom. Not long after relocating to Hollywood in the early 1940s, Davis made her acting debut. He began his cinematic career with cameos in 1943's The Lone Star Trail and 1944's The Big Bonanza, both of which did not include him. Although his parts were little in these classic B-grade westerns, Davis utilized them as stepping stones to hone his acting skills. His commanding presence, towering stature, and strong jawline lent themselves well to jobs involving the military and cowboys. And Davis landed roles in action flicks and dramas with a military theme. Davis co-starred with Kirk Douglas in the 1952 film The Big Sky, directed by the renowned Howard Hawks. His credibility in Hollywood was bolstered by his collaborations with top-tier filmmakers and actresses, even though he wasn't the star. A pivotal turning point in his career came in the 1950s when Davis made the transition to television, which was then the dominant form of entertainment in the United States. Story of the Century, a Western series, gave him his big break when he played railway detective Matt Clark. Its run spanned 1954 and 1955. Fans of the show were moved by Davis's performance as the tough cop, and the show made history by being the first Western to get an Emmy Award. His image as a Western genre mainstay was cemented by the role, and it paved the way for further important parts on television. Davis was a mainstay on American television in the 50s and 60s. He had cameo appearances on numerous popular series, including as Rawhide, Gunsmoke, Bonanza, The Rifleman, and Wagon Train. He was a fan favorite for Western parts requiring protagonists with a strong moral compass because of his dual charisma and authenticity. Davis depicted the moral range of the frontier in his roles as lawmen and criminals. Despite a long and successful career in Westerns, Davis's breakout role as Jock Ewing in the 1978 to 1981 TV series Dallas was his most famous part. The powerful and ethically troubled Ewing family of Texas was the center of this primetime soap drama. The patriarch played by Davis exemplified the ideal combination of stoic leadership and vulnerability. The family patriarch Jock Ewing had been a wildcatter in his youth but had amassed a huge fortune via guile and hard labor. The part seemed designed for Davis, whose real-life character reflected much of Jock's resolute personality. One of the main reasons Dallas became so popular was because of Davis' character. The combination of Jock Ewing's gravelly voice, severe attitude, and rare displays of warmth earned him respect and dread, enhancing the dramatic tension of the performance to perfection. Davis was a popular favorite because of his experienced presence, which served as an anchor for the show, even if younger cast members like Larry Hagman took much of the attention. After a courageous fight with multiple myeloma, an extremely rare and deadly illness, Jim Davis sadly died on April 26, 1981, at the age of 71. A tribute to Davis's work ethic and dedication to his craft, he kept working on Dallas despite his deteriorating health, even after being diagnosed in early 1980. Plasma cells, a subset of white blood cells that produce antibodies, are impacted by multiple myeloma. While filming his last episodes, Davis battled the weakening bones, recurrent infections, and exhaustion brought on by the condition. His dedication to playing Jock Ewing, despite the terrible suffering he was in, garnered him the admiration of his fellow actors and the devotion of the audience. Despite being sick, he would often show up on set, putting on the rough act that he had mastered for the camera. His health had deteriorated considerably by the end of 1980. As the severity of his condition became apparent to the Dallas producers, they started making plans to perhaps write him out of the show. Because to the illness, he was noticeably weak in his last appearance, which aired in early 1981. Still, right up until the credits rolled, he was Jock Ewing, and his performance was spectacular. In honor of Davis's memory, the Dallas producers chose not to replace him as Jock Ewing after his death. Rather, they paid tribute to the performer and the character with a unique plot that reflected reality. The tragic death of Jock Ewing in a South American helicopter disaster shook the Ewing family, and a new chapter has begun in the show's history. For fans, the plot was a bittersweet farewell to Jock and Jim Davis, and the storyline hit close to home. Many people in the entertainment industry felt the effects of Davis's passing. Even though he was suffering from a terrible illness in silence, he gave honesty and determination to every character he portrayed. Fans and members of the Dallas cast were saddened by his passing. Honoring his work in television, especially his portrayal of the resolute Jock Ewing and his work in the Western genre, Jim Davis became an iconic figure in Hollywood thanks to his unwavering commitment to his work and his fight against cancer. Those who knew and witnessed his work will never forget his work ethic and the personal grace he shone in his last days. His tenacity, professionalism, and body of work cemented his position in television history, and he leaves behind a lasting legacy. He made an unforgettable impact on the Western genre with his portrayal of strong, honorable men, even though many of his earlier parts were forgotten by the time he became famous with Dallas. His final performance as Jock Ewing solidified his place in American popular culture, and his rise from humble beginnings in rural Missouri to TV celebrity is an inspiration. In stark contrast to the extravagant personas he played, Jim Davis lived a modest and real life off-screen. Davis, who was born and reared in Missouri, lived his life by the Midwest principles of humility, hard work, and loyalty, which won over his friends and family. Blanche, a hammerer, and Davis were married in 1945, and they remained so until Davis passed away in 1981. They had a committed and steady relationship. In the notoriously chaotic Hollywood industry, an uncommon and commendable trait, Blanche stuck by Jim through thick and thin, even when his acting career took a nosedive and he was only ever cast in supporting parts in westerns. His appearance in Dallas catapulted him to stardom in the late 1970s, and Blanche remained his loyal companion throughout his career. Born in 1953, Tara Diane Davis was the couple's only child. Even though Jim Davis had a busy job, he was renowned as a family man who made time for his wife and daughter a top priority. He remained committed to his family and upheld their ideals throughout his life, according to everyone. Tragically, Jim and Blanche's daughter, Tara Diane, died in a vehicle accident in 1970 when she was 17 years old, which was a devastating turn of events. According to many, this was the most devastating personal tragedy that Davis had ever experienced, and it had a tremendous effect on him. Although Davis hardly discussed it in public, the loss of his daughter was something from which he never truly healed. According to many who knew him, he found solace in his art, which grew more profound over the years. He probably represented his inner turmoil following Tara's death in his roles, which reflected his stoicism and strength. Jim Davis developed strong relationships with numerous of his Hollywood co-stars and co-workers, despite his tendency to keep his private life out of the public eye. His eagerness to assist younger actors and his professionalism on set earned him high praise. His colleagues on Dallas have remarked on how his leadership and modesty contributed to a supportive work environment. His experience and commitment were much appreciated by the show's creators and producers, and his easygoing attitude made him a pleasure to work with. Larry Hagman portrayed J.R., the on-screen son of Davis. Ewing had an especially close relationship with him. After the fact, Hagman thought about how Davis had become like a father figure to her throughout Dallas's early seasons. The mutual regard and affection they shared off-screen was reflected in their on-screen relationship as a father and son. Davis, despite his accomplishments, chose a low-key life rather than the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. He stayed out of the spotlight and scandal that plagued his fellow superstars of his time, perhaps because of his steady upbringing in the Midwest. Davis eschewed high-profile gatherings and extravagant parties in favor of quiet pursuits like horseback riding and outdoor recreation. Davis would rather talk about his career and the possibilities he had in Hollywood than discuss his private life in interviews. His enduring marriage and impeccable work ethic were testaments to his dedication to a life of consistency and honesty. Loyalty, tenacity, and family devotion were hallmarks of Jim Davis's private life. His admiration from friends, family, and co-workers came from his amazing ability to maintain a consistent personal life with his rigorous professional one. His colleagues and friends will always remember him for the kindness, modesty, and commitment he had towards their work and his loved ones, even after he had passed away. Stories of the Century, Davis's early and most notable work, made history as the first Western television series to win an Emmy. Davis played the role of Matt Clark, a railroad detective who hunted down notorious Wild West bandits. Davis may not have won the Emmy for Best Western or Adventure Series alone, but his performance as the show's protagonist was crucial to the show's success. This was a major accomplishment for him as an actor, solidifying his position as a leading player in the Western television genre of the 1950s. The posthumous installation of a star honoring Davis on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was another significant acknowledgement of his extensive career. This honor is a reminder of his 4 decades of work in film and television, even though it isn't one of the more talked about parts of his legacy. An indelible mark on Hollywood's past, a star on the Walk of Fame is a testament to a performer's enduring influence and the significance of his career. With its groundbreaking blend of family drama, business intrigue, and larger-than-life characters, Dallas transformed the primetime soap opera genre and became one of the most memorable television shows in American history. It ran for 14 seasons with 357 episodes until May 3, 1991. Set in the realm of Texas oil tycoons, the show centered on the Ewing family, rich and powerful, and their personal drama, economic dealings, and rivalry with other families. In 1978, CBS ordered Dallas as a 5-part miniseries, but the show was so popular that they decided to make it a full series. The Ewings were the show's protagonists. Led by Barbara Bel Geddes as patriarch Miss Ellie and Jim Davis as patriarch Jock Ewing, Jr. and his brother's antagonism was the show's central conflict. Bobby Ewing, the brother with more principles and a kind heart, and Ewing, the oil baron who is cunning and cruel. This competition was the driving force behind the early drama and tension of the program, and it set the stage for a conflict between business ambition and familial loyalty. Shows like Dallas stood out from their contemporaries because they tackled heavy topics like moral dilemmas, treachery, greed, and power. In addition to internal strife, the Ewing family was embroiled in wider corporate power struggles over the Ewing oil fortune. Jr. was important to the show's plot. Quote, S's cunning manipulation and readiness to go to any lengths to achieve personal and professional success. His vicious tactics and catchphrase, "You can't fire me, I'm J.R. Ewing," made him one of the most memorable villains in television history. Thrilling cliffhangers and unexpected turns made the show popular and kept viewers waiting for Season 2. In 1980's A House Divided, the 3rd season finale, the most well-known of these was the "Who Shot J.R." cliffhanger. Throughout the series, JR has amassed a large number of foes, along with his murder, which caused a nationwide panic as people tried to guess who had opened fire. With over 83 million viewers, the fourth season episode Who Done It unveiled the resolution and became one of the most watched television programs of all time. One of the reasons the show took off in its early seasons was Jim Davis's portrayal of the Ewing family patriarch, Jock Ewing. The oil magnate Jock Ewing was a no-nonsense, grizzled old guy who established the Ewing family fortune. The traditional, industrious American ethic was embodied by him. He was not beyond using deception and coercion to keep his firm in his hands, despite his reputation as a fair man. During the first several seasons, Jock's character served as a guiding light. His colleagues held him in high esteem for his portrayal of characters like J.R. Davis, who exhibited more extreme behavior. Even after Davis passed away in 1981, the impact of Jock on the dynamics of the Ewing family remained a crucial story point. A power vacuum was left behind by Jock's death, and the Ewing family members struggled to fill it, adding to the antagonism that already existed in the series. Dallas gained immense popularity over the globe, not only in America. More than 90 nations received it as an export, and it gained a huge fan base all across the globe. Many people believe that the show was instrumental in making primetime soap operas popular, which in turn helped launch other similar series like as Falcon Crest and Dynasty. After 14 seasons, viewers grew emotionally immersed in the Ewing family as the show explored the dark side of affluence through dramatic plots, a glamorous location, and a compelling plotline. The legendary opening tune, written by Gerald Immel, was also a huge hit with viewers. With its breathtaking aerial views of Dallas, Texas, and the expansive Ewing Ranch South Fork, which became instantly identifiable. Because it accurately portrayed Texas's affluence, the show further solidified its position in popular culture. Dallas became widely associated with opulence, oil fields, and lucrative high-stakes corporate transactions. While Dallas was largely considered a commercial triumph more than a critical favorite, it did garner multiple accolades over its run. It won the 1980 Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Art Direction out of 4 nominations. In 1982, the show's popularity and ability to garner critical attention were highlighted when Barbara Bel Geddes received a Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Television Series Drama. Known for his role as J.R., his legendary performance as the Wicked Oil Man propelled Ewing to stardom on television. Because of how deeply embedded his character became in culture, J.R. became a touchstone for media conversations surrounding characters with moral gray areas. A number of TV films and miniseries carried on the legacy of the original Dallas after its 1991 conclusion, such as Dallas J.R. Returns 1996 and Dallas War of the Ewings 1998. The 2012 TNT remake series revived the show and brought back Linda Gray and other original cast members. The second series continued to examine the long-running tensions between J.R. and Bobby and centered on a different generation of Ewings. Decades after its debut, Dallas is still considered a landmark program in American television history. Its examination of riches, power, and family dynamics set the tone for numerous subsequent dramas. People still talk about the best series on television and bring up the outstanding characters and plots from the show, especially the rivalry between Bobby and Junior.